Well, hello and welcome to this Moneycontrol live stream. I'm Nandita Khemka and I have with me Latha, Venkatesh, and we'll be talking about expectations from the RBI policy. Well, ma'am, it's D-Day tomorrow where the RBI policy is concerned, and this time around expectations are that the MPC will opt for a smaller rate hike compared to the previous 3 or 4 times. Given the fact that October inflation came in lower than 7%, it's somewhere around 6.7% or thereabouts, and it is expected to cool further. So a lot of people are saying that inflation may have peaked out, which is why the RBI will be looking at a smaller rate hike. So do you think 35 basis points is a given, or are there chances that the RBI may say that, let's go ahead with a 50 basis point and then we'll see how it goes?
See, all the reasons you gave are valid. I will add one more to it. The Fed was, 75 was the new 25 as far as the Fed was concerned, and now they've almost given it that the next rate hike will only be 50. Now they are running at double-digit inflation. If they are ready to step down, it's quite clear that India has all the more reasons to claim that we have already front-loaded, and there can be a reason for a smaller hike. Now, until very recently, there was a goodish number of people who were believing 25 was good enough, because you saw that bit of US inflation also declining, and expectation that ours also will decline. But with the US non-farm payroll number coming in higher than expected, and thereafter US yields went up, dollar went up, rupee weakened.
Services sector also grew at a very strong pace.
Exactly.
The data came out last night.
Strength of the economy, and therefore the expectation that the Fed may only do 50, but they will hike for a longer period. All those are making people veer towards 35. It's not a great deal of difference between 25 and 35 in how much is 10
but it's
basis
still lesser
points.
than 50. So,
but it will be an indication. 25 will be seen as dovish. So it will definitely have an impact on the markets, 25, because the market is discounted 35. Not 50, definitely. 50 is clearly not in the picture at the moment, or at least it's a minority. So if 25 comes, the market will be in for a rally. Let us see. It may be unlikely that the Reserve Bank wants to take the risk of sounding too dovish too soon.
They want to exercise caution, because you still never know where inflation will come in for. We will be getting the data for November as well in a few days, so that will make the picture clearer, I suppose.
The inflation number is going to recede a bit. It goes up again in January, but it falls for November and December. But the Reserve Bank's forecast is for a 5.8% by March. That is something the street is not very sure of. There are a number of people who are a little above 6 for the March quarter. So, there is that the Reserve Bank has to keep in mind. What is its mandate? To keep inflation between 2 and 6, ideally at 4. And here you are for 15 months in a row above 6. Above your upper level. So that is why there is an argument for 35.
Right. Ma'am, let's talk about the stance. Right now the stance is withdrawal from accommodation. But I've heard a lot of chatter that this time the RBI may actually look at changing its stance to neutral. Are there any chances of that happening? And if at all that happens, what does it really mean?
Okay. Withdrawal of accommodation means what? I am withdrawing the easy money policy. That means I am going to keep on hiking. If you say neutral, then you're saying I have withdrawn all the accommodation and now I can pause. I can either even cut. Neutral means I can cut or hike or stay put.
Wait and watch mode.
Yeah, but do you think the Reserve Bank is in a position to signal that we are done with removing of accommodation? I'm not very sure the Reserve Bank will want to give that kind of a signal. There is still some excess liquidity in the system. The banks are still coming and lending to the Reserve Bank excess liquidity of about 2 lakh crore on a daily basis in the SDF window. So it will be extremely premature to say that I am done with removing accommodation, now I am neutral. It is extremely unlikely. Chances are that, if at all, there is a chance that they will rephrase that keep removal of accommodation, but add saying that we will be extremely data dependent. In some way signify that we want to be dovish, but we are entirely dependent on data. They may go to that extent. They may signal neutrality in the coming policy, but they are unlikely to do neutral. That's the majority opinion on the street.
So
Yeah.
Sorry to cut
No,
you
no,
off, but
yeah.
does that mean that this is the last of the rate hikes for now?
See, that is what we have to wait and see, and that is why the Reserve Bank won't want to give it away, even if it is the last rate hike. Let us assume they do 35 and then it is 6 quarter. In the poll that my colleague did, a number of people, in fact, even in the Citizens MPC that we run at CNBC TV 18,
Right.
a majority think that 6 quarter is the peak repo rate in this cycle. It's possible that this is the last hike, but I don't think the Reserve Bank will want to say it
Say
is the
that
last.
in as many words.
They may want to wait and watch, and maybe February will be a pause for all you know, but they may not want to announce it this early. Now, there's one other element I want to add.
Sure.
The Monetary Policy Committee has 3 external members, and 2 of the external members, Jayant Verma and Ashima Goyal, in the September 30 meeting were very dovish. How do we know that? Because we know the minutes of the meeting.
Minutes of the meeting.
And in the minutes, Jayant Verma said that 6% is enough. We have to pause now and watch.
So there is division within
he's
the...
obviously saying that he doesn't even want this hike. At best, he wants 10 basis,
Right.
going by his minutes. Ashima Goyal also sounded very dovish, saying that we have to give growth a chance. Now, that is why there is a chance for 25. If it is 35, it is definitely going to be a divided vote. So there are all these pressures on the RBI. The pressure that, the global slowdown after these 2 or 3 data points, again, the global recession may prey on us as well. Already 2 members have moved to the dovish stance. Therefore, there is that small trickiness on the stance.
Right.
They may stay put, but indicate that next policy we will ponder about neutrality.
Neutrality, right. Anything else that we should be watching out for in the governor's speech? Anything relating to inflation targets, growth targets, GDP?
My own sense is that they will not change the inflation forecast, which is 6.7 for the year. And growth, well, it is 7%. A lot of people are slightly sub 7. Making it 6.9 is not really giving much.
Exactly.
So possibly they are not going to change either of them. They may give fresh forecasts for next year, but unlikely to change anything this year. However, every time we think that this is a not so important policy, all of 10 minutes the markets will react to this 35 basis. It is already discounted, and then it's going to be business as usual. Every time I go with that feeling,
there's
something surprising has happened.
Out of the syllabus happening.
So I would rule that out. But at the moment, it looks like the policy is going to be an hour's job, and then we are back to celebrating all-time highs or tracking the global markets.
That's true. So that's the word. 25 to 35 basis points is what we are expecting, but we will be getting you live coverage of the RBI governor's speech as well as a post-policy analysis. So do tune in at 10 a.m. tomorrow and catch all the action live on Money Control.